Hi everyone, my name is Nicole, and this is my ecology research project. Living in Florida, we are limited to areas that are untouched by humans. I did find one wilderness park that had areas that were natural, which I felt was perfect for this project. When I first went to pick up my study sites, I was intrigued by the amount of different species of pine trees, and I wanted to learn more about them and what they do for our ecosystem. Florida is known to be one of the most biodiverse states in the United States. What I mean by biodiverse is the variety and variability of life on Earth. Biodiversity is a measure of variation at the genetic species and ecosystem level. In my area of this wilderness park, both study sites were very species rich with tons of trees and plants and different kinds of animal species. Because of Florida's climate, this makes for most organism responses to the environment to be good ones. These organisms thrive with adequate amounts of sun, shade, and precipitation. So over to the right, I have my research question, which was what kind of weather do longleaf pine cones thrive best in? And then I have my hypothesis, which is after the pine cones fall from the pine tree, they will survive and be healthier in a sunnier area. And then my prediction was I predicted that pine cones would be healthier in a sunnier environment because based on some research I know that pine trees thrive better with more sunlight, and in order for the pine cones to spread their seeds, which is the purpose of a pine cone, they need to be in a dry, more exposed area. So the name of the park within Starkey Park was the Serranova Tract. The location I picked for this project is called Starkey Wilderness Preserve, the Sonorva Tract. This park is located in Land O'Lakes, Florida. Starkey Park is many miles long, but this specific part, the Serranova Tract, has 21 miles, or in kilometers will be 33.796224 of area in which the public can observe. I decided to select my two study sites with study point A being at the trailhead right when you start to walk, and my next study area, which is study area B, is a half a mile down the trail further into the wilderness. Some of the similarities between the two were elevations. Florida is a really flat state, therefore there's not like one of my sites are up on a hill and one is down below. They're just all flat. Both areas have a ton of vegetation, ton of plants, and both are near some form of water. The differences between two sites are study A sees more sun, or study B is more in the shade. Study A is closer to a lake where you can see the small fish and tadpoles, where study B is only near like a really tiny retention pond where the water is dark so you can't see what's in it. Study B is slightly cooler in temperature because of being in more of a shaded area. There is more human disturbance at study site A, and the vegetation, although is a lot, like in study site A, is the density is larger in study site B, excuse me. Biological/ecological features. Biodiversity was different in ways and also similar. Plants, animals, insects, fungi, and bacteria are examples of biotic forces in the environment. Both of my study sites contained all of these examples. The differences would have been that study site B, which was more in the shade, didn't have plants and trees as filled out as they were in study site A. And I believe this is because certain plants and trees need a certain number of hours of sunlight in order to reach maximum health. I believe this area was the best testable spot for my research project because of the specific species richness when it came to longleaf pine trees. There were many trees in both study sites to compare enough pine cones. I felt studying pine cones was the best subject for the project because of how many there were to study. With the abundance of pine trees came the abundance of pine cones. My method section. After I decided that my specific species I would study is longleaf pine cones, I had to choose a method to collect and analyze my data. The sampling method I decided to go with was the point count method. I determined what I felt like was the middle of my study site A and study site B, and from there walked in many straight lines to collect and count my pine cones. From the center point, I walked a minimum of 55 feet in 8 different directions. I had to collect a minimum of 40 pine cones from each study site, but I struggled finding a total of 40 different longleaf pine trees in each study site, so therefore I had to pick up 2 pine cones from each longleaf pine tree that I passed. Based on the information I knew about these pine cones, I decided the best way to measure them to see if my hypothesis would be supported was to measure their length with a tape measure. Healthy pine cones can be anywhere from 6 to 12 inches in length. So within this chart, I studied the species richness, the evenness, and the Shannon index. So I created a few different graphs to observe my information. This one, again, was showing the species richness, evenness, and Shannon index. And as you can see, the numbers are very similar between all three. This was another graph and chart that I did, which was to look at, sample size, sample mean, standard variation, the 95% confidence interval. And as you can see, the numbers aren't too far off in these as well, comparing both sites. But with all my supporting tables and graphs, you can see that there's not a major difference between plot A and point B. My results show that the means are different between both sites, but not by a large amount. The site with the greater mean was study site A, and based on the confidence intervals, my results show that by means were not significantly different. Based on my results, I believe study site A had great variability because what I know about pine trees and pine cones, I predicted that I would find longer, healthier looking pine cones in that site because it sees more sun. This also follows my hypothesis, in which says that once the pine cones fall from the tree, they will be healthier in the sunnier area, which by these charts show that that blue, what you can see here in blue, represents that. Further discussions. So if your hypothesis is supported by your data, does this mean your hypothesis is definitely true? I believe that although my data does support my hypothesis, it does not prove that the hypothesis is definitely true, but it does mean that it's likely to be correct. This project would have to be tested multiple times in order to ultimately prove in the end that my hypothesis is for sure true. An alternative hypothesis that could explain my data, I decided would be if the trunk of longleaf pine trees will be larger in study site A due to being in a more sunnier environment and being exposed to more open air. Some ecological factors that influence my results are the air and the soil. Longleaf pine trees do better in open air conditions, which we seen in study A, because there was more sun in open areas. Study site B has wetter soil due to being in the shade and not being exposed to much sun. Therefore, the trees would be affected. What are some non-ecological factors? Some non-ecological factors could be light and water and temperature. And if I were to do this work differently, I would make my study areas larger. That way, if I had more room to explore for pine cones to test, which because of the fact that I picked up 2 pine cones from every tree that I passed, this could have altered my results a little bit. So I wouldn't ultimately make my study areas bigger. If I were to build on my work and refine my hypothesis, what would my next steps be? If I was to continue on with this project, I think I would start by doing another collection of pine cones from each study site and measuring them. I would do this a couple times to see if my results changed or if they stayed around the same, because that would give me ultimately a closer idea if my hypothesis was truly correct. Explore the meaning behind my results. Pine cones open and close in response to weather conditions. My results show that pine cones were healthier in sunnier and dry conditions, which makes sense when looking at the source that states, if it's dry, pine cones on the ground will let their slender scales open up like fingers of an unfurling fist. If rain and humidity are in the air, the scales will clamp up like a castle drawbridge, overlapping one another and sealing the cone into a tight ball. The idea is simple: to open and release seeds when conditions are best for winds to carry them far and wide. Wet weather dampens dispersal. Study site A was in a sunnier environment, therefore was dry, and made it so pine cones were open and able to disperse their seeds. Although these trees can adapt to different environments, they will always have an ideal environmental type. I was able to do my research on these trees because there were so many of them, which I found so great. Among all pine trees species of the South, longleaf pine stands out as the most diseased, pest, and fire resistant. This is why I believe the park I studied in had so many of these trees. And these are my references for my project. Thank you so much for viewing my video.